Today is February 5th, 2025. My name's Melissa Ackerman, and I will be interviewing Bobby Goodman for our Columbian Club interviews. Hey, Bobby, how are you today?
Doing great. Thank you, Melissa.
When were you a member of the Columbian Club?
So it's really a two-part answer. I grew up at the club, so my dad was one of the first members of the club. I believe he joined like in 1954. I was born in 1956, so really my family was a member. In fact, I always kid, his club number was 64. I'm not quite sure if that meant he was the 64th member at the Columbian Club, but he was an early member. And so I grew up all my days there, and then I graduated college, and in 1978, I became a member myself. So from 1978 for the next, I want to say 30 years, through when the Columbian Club became the Honors. So I was a member then. So, from a little baby to really 2008.
What kind of activities did you participate in as a child?
Well, at the Columbian Club, the main thing that I did was love playing golf, and so most of my activities at the club were golf. However, I swam. They had the big Olympic-sized swimming pool, and we played tennis. Ping pong. Back in those days, growing up, it was really kind of a place that your parents would drop you off for the entire day. They'd take you in the morning and pick you up in the afternoon. So we did it all. But I love playing golf out there.
What did the membership look like back then when you were growing up, and how did you become a member there?
So the membership, as I recall, growing in when I was under my parents' membership, was really made up. What I thought at the time was, kind of an older membership.
More like your parents' age,
they
or
were
even
my
older
parents'
than that?
age, but so. They seemed old. Maybe that was the deal.
The perspective.
Exactly. But the members, they had mainly families made up of larger families, and then how did you become a member? Of course, mine was a little bit different because I was a legacy, and so as a legacy. I even remember I got in for, I think the membership cost $1,000 to join for a junior member when I became, was like 21 or 22 years old. And then, but because I was a legacy, it turned in, I think it was half off. So it was like for $500. The way that you got in, though, and I can't speak for legacies, but I know that there was an application you filled out. As you walked in one part of the club, there was a bulletin board, and all the applicants who were trying to get in, their pictures were on there, told them all about what they did, what their life was like, how many kids they had, and it was posted. And then I guess there was some sort of vetting process from the board, from the membership committee.
Did you have to be sponsored to even
get
on the list?
You had to get sponsors. That's exactly right. You had to have a couple sponsors that would sign your application, and then it sat there maybe 4 to 6 weeks, in this vetting process, and then you got a little notice, congratulations. And I'm not sure everybody always got in, but being a legacy helped.
Yeah. Why do you know why your parents decided to join?
I don't know exactly why. I do believe that. Back then, there weren't a lot of choices, especially if you were Jewish. A lot of the country clubs or the clubs would not allow the Jews to be a member, and so I would imagine that's where a lot of their friends and were starting to join, and also because they were Jewish, they were limited.
Yeah, the anti-Semitism, do you think it factored into their decision to join?
I think it probably did. Now, I never felt anti-Semitism myself, but I do believe that my folks were probably forced to go there. I mean, they wanted to, but I mean, it was the only place that was welcoming. But I personally didn't feel the anti-Semitism that
In the community that would have forced you to
I
join?
never did. I know it was going on, but maybe I lived more of a sheltered country club life.
Well, as an adult, were you, what was your relationship with the Columbian Club? Did you serve in any leadership positions?
So as I became a member, I actually, the board was made up of, even then, what I would call older members. And we'll get back to that maybe later, but I was asked to be a junior advisor to the board. We had a young family, had 3 kids, and I really I tell this story to the day that the club was always a really comfortable and safe place to go. What that really meant sometimes is that people that we all knew and were more our age, who had kids our age, would go there for dinner, and their kids would really pretty much run wild all over the place. My wife Melissa and I really were not big fans of that, and so our kids always stayed at the table. I think what happened was that some of the senior members observed that and said, these are the kind of people we will love that their kids are so well behaved and stay there, and they're not running all over the place. And so I think that's why they asked me to be on the junior advisor. But as a junior advisor, I don't know if I really had much that I could add or make a difference, but it was nice that they asked. They wanted a younger person's point of view.
It was kind of the old guard that ran the show?
And it was the old guard.
Was it all men, or were women allowed to kind of move up through the ranks with the Columbian Club?
Well, I believe, and I don't know the date it changed, but I think the membership was always under the male's name. He was the member. There were no female members. Somewhere along the line, I can't tell you the year, they, and I think they tried to make a big to-do at it when they changed, but they realized that, okay, you have to come to the right age now, and that we need to have women as members. And so it did change, but it started off as a male was the member, and then you had a family, and the spouse was just part of the family. They weren't the member themselves. It did change, though.
Even if the woman in the family was the big golfer or the big tennis player, it was still under the...
membership was under the...
Very old-fashioned,
yeah, and I think that's really old school. It did change. I can't tell you when. It may have been in the late 70s or 80s, maybe 90s. I'm not sure. But then those things that were posted were pictures of women who were joining the club. But you never saw that, on the front end, at the earlier days.
Very old-fashioned kind of point of view.
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite memories from your time out there?
Oh my goodness. I would say, well, first of all, we loved when I was a member with my family, we loved going to have meals at the club. Thursday night was bingo night, and anybody who's been a member of the Columbian Club knew that the general manager, Harold Osborne, would be calling bingo on Thursday night, and they had a big meal before, and it was generally in the summer, so we all swam in the day. Loved bingo night. Loved going there on Sundays for the Sunday salad and the meals there. They had a game room, they had a ping pong room that we just spent a lot of time in it. But I guess my all-time favorite, besides, what had to be just being able to go out there and play golf. Played with my dad a lot, and my fondest memories growing up of my father was playing golf with him at the Columbian Club.
That's nice. Did your kids enjoy going out?
My kids loved going out there. They were relatively young because when we left the club, when it did close, you know, they weren't that old at that time, but they loved it. They loved the meals. That we went to the pool there. My kids kind of grew up at the pool there, just like when I grew up. Most of my friends were at the JCC, but I was at the Columbian Club, so maybe I was kind of a country club brat. But my kids loved all the activities and mainly the meals, because
the food
really
good
at the Columbian Club was considered some of the best food and dining that you'd have in Dallas. I mean, it was tremendous.
Have you gone to the new Columbian Club restaurant here in Dallas?
I have not gone to it, but I do. I have heard that those who have gone said it's a lot of fun, a lot of memorabilia. So I can't wait to get there.
A lot of the old food.
I understand
I've heard
is,
that,
but I'm not
yeah.
sure. I can't wait. It'll be fun.
Why do you think the Columbian Club closed?
So I'm not sure there's one reason. I think it's a series of things that possibly happened, and I'll just kind of lay them out. And maybe it ended up being the perfect storm, but I would say, I think because the club was run by the old guard, older people, I'm not so sure. And it was their playground, and so they were more interested, in my opinion, of their own playground. And so the more members that would join would make it a little tougher on them, harder to get a tee time. And so I don't think there was a lot of programming that went on for younger families. And so I think they just didn't think out a long-term plan. It was kind of more of, let's just get through this next year or so. But I don't think it was a long-term plan. That's one reason. The club had a limited audience. They were almost exclusively a Jewish country club. So there was only so many people in the Dallas area they could draw upon. You couple that with the fact that there was generally an assessment every single year. So besides your dues, and it became really an expensive place, especially for a young family, and to be there, because there was always the next assessment coming. And then I'd add a third is that at some point in time, I don't remember the years, but some of these other clubs were much more accepting of having Jewish members. And so there wasn't just one place to go anymore, that some of the other clubs opened their doors. And so when you don't really plan for the future, and when it becomes a financial burden, especially for a younger family where they've got so many activities for their kids, and there are other now options for you, I think they couldn't sustain a membership that would cover their budget. And so I think it was a combination of all those things that occurred, is my guess.
Do you think a Columbian Club or a new version of it could be popular today or be successful today?
I think actually I really think it could be, and I'll tell you why. The Anywhere you go today, when I'm with my friends that grew up at the Columbian Club, you hear the same thing over and over again. They may have joined another club, but they always say, "Well, it's not the Columbian Club," and so they have these such fine memories of either growing up or raising their family at the club, and they, to this day, are still saying it's not the Columbian Club. That, to me, tells me that those were the golden days for them. As if you're going to be a member of a club, that's the kind of club you'd want to be involved with. Then I would also say, and it's sad to say, but with the rise of anti-Semitism now, I think we're kind of heading back into it may be more of a safe haven where you can feel more comfortable with other Jewish people. It wouldn't have to be exclusively Jewish today, but I think a Columbian Club that maybe pared down a little bit, wasn't everything to everyone, but a dining facility, a golf course, because I think that's the real focal point there. I think a Columbian Club like that could exist again.
Did you feel like it brought the Jewish community or some section of the Jewish community together?
No doubt, it brought them together. You know, I think there were three phases. You either were really involved at your synagogue, you got really involved at the Columbian Club, or you were involved at the JCC. And I can tell you that the friendships that were made at the Columbian Club are lifelong. From some of my closest friends today are the same people that I met when I was a little boy at the Columbian Club. And I think it brought people together, and not only did it bring them together, it kept them together over the many, many years. Just the other day, I went out to another country club to play golf, and all the people who were that played that day were ex-members of the Columbian. They all grew up at the Columbian. We have stayed friends.
They're still your good friends?
And they're still our good friends, and the thing that we had in common is we all played golf together way back then, and we're still playing golf today together. So there was something about the Columbian Club that was a little bit different. Of course, we were involved with the synagogues, and we were members of the JCC. But the one word that I would probably not associate with the JCC or synagogues is that I would with the Columbian Club is I would call it more magical. The club was magical for us. It was our playground. It was our parents' childcare, if you will. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't, as I mentioned before, you couldn't find finer dining anywhere. So in today's world, it would be a place to entertain and like no other.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other memories you'd like to share about your days as a member?
Well, I growing up there and playing golf with my dad was the highlight, but all my siblings, we would go there for the 4th of July, and for all the holidays, we would all go there, and it was a family affair. And there are a lot of family members and friends that we had made there, but there were I have a lot of cousins that were all members as well. So just family time at the club. Bingo was, as I mentioned earlier, was a highlight, and I think of, to this day, I keep thinking, man, I wish we had something like the club for dinner. And the swimming in the summers, and being dropped off in the morning and being picked up in the afternoon, you just spent it felt like you were at camp all day long. And the people and the staff were so nice and so caring.
And a
So-
safe place, it sounds like.
Like I said, it was magical.
Thank you so much for visiting with me today.
Thank you,
Bobby.
Melissa, I appreciate
Okay,
it.
thanks.